Hi, it's Susan Harkleroad on this very snowy day, and you've completed your first week in NU450. Your biggest hurdles have been achieved. You've chosen your agency, and now you have a contact. If you're working in pairs, you're going to have to figure out how you'll travel together and communicate. You might consider sharing and working on documents in Office 365, and if you need help with that, I can get you the resources. I'm in the process of grading your Winfield surveys. It is important that you shared your point A to point B so I understand where you're walking from. Many of the resources used in community nursing come from outside nursing in the .gov and the .org resources. You realize now that anything that affects the health and well-being of your community members is in the purview of the community nurse. I just want you to think about how the assessments and evaluations are a little bit more difficult when you're working in the community. For instance, would you take the time on a walk to answer a survey that somebody handed you? Or would you ever weigh yourself in a public venue or share your weight with the nurse that was just canvassing your area? I wouldn't share my weight with anyone, to tell you the truth. So you need to use established places like YMCAs and physician's office, churches, and other organizations to gather your data and to measure what you've done in your community. Looking at the assignment now, I think that page 101 and 102 have the best information about assessments of community. Remember all the time that you spent walking in these communities, doing your assessments and formulating your answers are all part of clinical hours that can be logged on your clinical log. This week we're using that thinking upstream mindset to measure and to talk about in the discussion boards. And there's also an interactive simulation that I think you'll really enjoy. This week and maybe next week you'll be meeting with your agency administrators and meeting with the clients to ascertain what healthcare topics they want to learn about. If you work in pairs, you have to coordinate your schedule to go together to the agency for the assessment and for the presentation. You'll see that many of these agencies' administrators are under very tight financial and time constraints. They can't take the time to meet individually with students who are involved in a project as a group. There are no options in this course as yet to meet with the clients in any other way but to be physically present. You will need to take that NU450 teaching project agreement when you go to have it filled out. And that's under the portfolio project that's on the main page where all the modules are. And you'll see the agreement, so you need to print out one of them and take them with you. When you're formulating your statement of health education needs and goals, you're to formulate it in terms of the client. So an example would be the clients of the Salvation Army Food Bank expressed a knowledge deficit in understanding the sugar content in canned products. So the goal then has to relate to the knowledge deficit. The clients of the Salvation Army Food Bank will be educated on reading food labels on canned goods and understand sugar content. Then you have to think about how you'll measure this knowledge. How do you know that your teaching was effective? So you'll have to find a way of measuring what they knew before and what they knew after your presentation. And you have to think of methods that are applicable to your population. Some populations are too young, they can't read, or indigent, and they only read at a certain grade, maybe a third grade level. The next step is most critical, and that's finding evidence for what you're going to teach. Think about it. These clients are depending on you as a registered nurse to teach current scientific knowledge in terms that they understand. That's why searching for articles and resources like .gov and .org are so valuable. So I researched how to read a food label, and I actually got a government website that has tons of information on how to teach people how to read a food label. I try to get everything graded by either Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest. This week I'm also working with advisees on fall schedules, so just a hint that maybe you should be talking to your advisor about your fall schedule. So it's taking me a little bit longer. I hope that you're able to read my feedback and that you can see it readily and you understand it and use it the next time you're working on something in the course. If you have any questions about my feedback or my grading or any questions that come up, please, you can use the message portion on the left-hand side and message me, or you can email me, or if it's really urgent, just give my cell phone a call. I just want to tell you that you're doing a great job. You're starting to think as community nurses, and let's keep learning.